This is the year that I buy my first self-storage facility. That might be a thought that's currently bouncing around in your mind. However, you're stuck, right? Because you don't know where to find the deals. Maybe you do know where to find the deals, but you have no idea how to look at the numbers and figure out what makes sense. Is this a deal? Is it not? If it's not a deal, what would make it a deal? You kind of get stuck in analysis paralysis. You freeze, staring at the lines, the rows, the columns on a spreadsheet. Or maybe you just have a limiting belief around the funding and the financing, or you don't have any confidence in yourself to be able to secure the funding and the financing that you need in order to buy your first storage facility. Let me toss this one at you. Maybe you have a fear of buying the wrong deal and making a big mistake, losing a bunch of money, losing your savings, everything that you've worked so hard for, regretting it, and now you find yourself in a lot of pain, stuck in a deal that you have no idea how to get out of. If any or all of these objections, pain points, thoughts, frustrations have ever crossed your mind, then I want you to tune in, because what I'm about to share with you can help unlock that. And this can be the year that you finally buy your first self-storage facility. And in fact, I'm going to reveal the 4 specific things that I believe you need to do in order to start making real progress and momentum to put yourself in a position to buy your first storage facility within the next 6 months. And it doesn't just happen by chance or by luck. You got to be very thoughtful and intentional about it. But the one thing I need you to do is to start believing in yourself, and I need you to get out of the sidelines and into the game, because that is where real deals happen. So my name is Alex Pardo. I am a self-storage owner. I've bought, operated, sold, wholesaled numerous self-storage facilities over the last several years. And after spending 14 years grinding away in the single-family residential space, wholesaling properties, fixing and flipping, building a rental portfolio, I quickly realized that that wasn't going to be my path to freedom. That wasn't going to be how I was going to generate consistent, predictable cash flow, how I was going to start to build net worth and build wealth over time. And so I transitioned into self-storage, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, because now I get to run and operate self-storage facilities that are hundreds of miles away without any employees. These are run remotely, by the way. Automations handle a big part of it. I have a very small team. It's highly profitable. And I don't have to deal with the traditional headaches of tenants and toilets and trash and fixing, rehabbing kitchens and dealing with plumbing issues and all the crazy stuff that I did when I was in the residential single family space. Back in the day, I was in corporate finance, and I remember thinking, how do I get out of my cubic hell, right? And do something that was going to give me more time freedom, maybe even build a legacy business. If you've had any of these thoughts, then I want to assure you that you're in the right place, because I have had hundreds, when I tell you hundreds, literally hundreds of conversations with people that have been thinking about self-storage. They've been having conversations about it. In some cases, they've even taken the first step and they've jumped on YouTube and they've watched my videos, or they've jumped on the Storage Wins podcast. They've consumed a lot of content, but it all feels a little bit daunting and overwhelming. Okay, maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you have started your journey to learn more about this business. You have no doubt that it's a great asset class. In theory, it sounds amazing, but you have a lot of question marks. Like there's uncertainty. You have questions that need to be answered. And so you feel like you need to go out on a fact-finding mission, right? You are like the king researcher when it comes to self-storage. I say this and with kind of like a sheepish grin, because I just got off a phone call with somebody today who told me, like, Alex, I have been thinking about doing this business for close to 5 years. I've been reading about self-storage. I've been watching all your videos, plugged into the Storage Wins podcast. I feel like the guy even told me, I feel like I could teach somebody about self-storage, but yet I don't know where to start. And that's a problem in and of itself, because if you are somebody that you find yourself in consumption mode, constantly consuming information, but yet there's no follow-through, implementation, or execution, I can tell you that nothing will change years from now. You will stay stuck in the same place. But the biggest thing is that you won't reap the rewards and the benefits that the self-storage business can provide for you. Okay? So hopefully this is my plea to get you out of the bleachers, out of the dugout, and into the game. Put a helmet on, grab a bat, and let's start to swing at some of these pitches, because without doing so, you're not going to be able to get on base, and you're certainly not going to be able to score. So we're going to get you out of the bleachers and into the game. Now, in order to do that, I've realized that you probably need things to be simplified, and you need a simple step-by-step roadmap and a game plan. And by the way, shameless plug, that is exactly what we do inside of our Storage Wins coaching community. That is how Kate went from fear and stuck in analysis paralysis, uncertainty, to buying her first deal. How Mario was able to do the very same thing. How Casey, Jeremy, Marianne, and several others that I can name. Okay, but it's because they didn't allow fear to get in the way. They got out of analysis paralysis. They plugged into a community of like-minded people. They followed a simple roadmap and game plan. And then most importantly, they actually did the work. They executed. Because let me burst your bubble here, potentially. Maybe not you, maybe somebody, but this business isn't passive, right? It's not like you just buy a facility and all of a sudden it's like it's raining passive income on your bank account and your mailbox. Like, no, there's some time, energy, and effort to find these deals. And then it's an operator's business. But what I can tell you is that when you find the right facility and you put certain systems and processes in place, it can be run without you. It can be run with very little of your time once these facilities are stabilized. In other words, once you increase the occupancy, you increase revenue, it can be a fantastic business to generate consistent, predictable cash flow. And really what I feel doesn't get enough energy and attention is the equity upside, that if you ever decide to do a cash out refi or sell these facilities, you could be looking potentially at hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not into the seven figures, depending on the facility. Okay. But I want to give you just a simple 4-step process that you can follow. But first, I think it's important that we identify and dive a little bit deeper into the reasons that a lot of people stay stuck. Okay, I've mentioned being stuck in the bleachers or on the sidelines. And these are the 3 common reasons that I find people are not making the kind of progress and momentum that they want. And forget about people. Let me speak directly to you. Okay, if you are somebody who you just don't know where to find deals, it's something that I call deal fog. You got a lot of deal fog. Like you ever gotten in a car and you start driving and it's like a foggy night, and like your head beams only show you like the first 5 to 10 feet of the road, but then beyond that, you have no idea what's coming. That might be what you're feeling right now when it comes to self-storage and when it comes to looking for deals. And you might hop on Crexy or LoopNet and you start pulling up facilities, and then you click on this thing called OM, offering memorandum. And then it's like, it's a beautiful, nice packet. And then you get to the financials and like your eyes, it's like that emoji that starts going like this, right? You start like, your eyes are just glazed and you're like, where do I start? Like, what do I do? It's kind of like you're drunk in the numbers. Well, I want to help clear that up for you, because once you understand where to find these deals, and the next step, what we call our deal filter system, is how you can quickly look at a deal within a couple of minutes and determine that is an opportunity worth spending additional time on versus, skip, pass, and let's move on to the next one. Once you understand that process, it's going to give you the confidence that I think right now you might be lacking in order to figure out what you need to offer based on the income that asset produces and what it could be worth in the future. Only then will you have the confidence to actually submit a letter of intent or an actual offer to the seller. And until you do that, you're going to stay stuck on the sidelines and you're not going to be playing the game, right? So that's category 1 of challenge, right? The big obstacle, deal fog. The second one is no money. And I would put this one into 2 buckets. When I talk to people and they tell me, hey, Alex, I have a fear or concern about the money, it's usually one of 2 things, if not both. And I want to actually ask you where you might stand. Which category or bucket do you fall into? Or are you holding both buckets like this? Okay, be honest with yourself. Number 1, do you have a limiting belief when it comes to the money that you believe it takes to buy a self-storage facility? And you might log into your bank account and see whatever balance you see and say, or look at your savings account or look at your investment portfolio if you have one and say, I just don't have enough to buy a storage facility. Or, hey, I'm going to start looking for storage, but I'm only going to look for storage under a certain price point, under 300,000, under 400,000. I can tell you it's a mistake. And I want to expand and stretch your thinking here, because every single storage deal that I have purchased, and I bought numerous of them, every single one was using other people's money. I'm talking about where I turn the seller into the bank, something called seller financing, where I actually go to the Small Business Administration, SBA, and they fund the majority of the purchase price. Or because of the network, I reach out to my network, I have conversations, I plant seeds and drop breadcrumbs, and people know that I'm actively looking for storage because I talk about it. They're already warm. When I present an opportunity, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not asking for money, I'm not begging for money. I'm presenting an opportunity for somebody to be involved in a great deal I found so that they can make money and they can generate some cash flow or build wealth. Or maybe it's a private lender, somebody that's got money in a high yield savings account or a money market, or money that's just lazy money. They want to put it to work. There's so many different ways to fund these deals. So regardless of your situation when it comes to the capital, your credit, that's another thing I hear. It's like, Alex, I can't buy storage because I have bad credit. And I just want to like pull my hair and be like, it's a limiting belief and it's a knowledge gap. All you need to do is understand and gain the confidence to be able to go out and secure the funding. And it's my core belief that when you get really, really good at finding and locating these opportunities, and then you understand how to look at the numbers to figure out what is it worth based on what the income the asset is currently generating, what could it be worth? And you start to gain a certain level of aptitude and confidence in that department, then when it comes to funding and financing these deals, a lot of doors are going to start opening up for you, because you start to show up with more confidence and you know you have a great deal. And when you can control a great deal, I believe that deals are a magnet to money. Okay. So the fear or not having money or the lack of confidence about securing the funding and the financing, that's the second big challenge. The third one I would say is, like I mentioned, it's like I'm frozen, literally frozen, because if I make an offer and they accept it, and I was to somehow figure out how to finance and fund this thing, and I bought it, what if I made a terrible mistake? What if I lose money or my savings? Or what if I have no idea how to manage, own, and operate this business? If you have felt or experienced any of these concerns, fears, pain points, frustrations, I empathize with you because I totally get it. But it doesn't have to be as complicated as you're making it. Okay? If I was going to explain this business to my 10-year-old daughter, and she came to me and she said, hey, Papi, I want to buy my first self-storage facility. First of all, I'd be thrilled. I'd be elated to work with her and coach her and guide her through the process. And if I was going to simplify it to my 10-year-old, I would tell her, baby, this business is built. The backbone of this business is relationships. Okay? Understand that at a big picture. Well, first I would explain to her, in storage, what we do is we rent space. People have stuff. They want a safe, secure, convenient location to store their stuff. And in exchange for us housing their stuff and keeping it safe and secure and well lit and all that good stuff, they're going to pay us a monthly amount every single month. Because when people move into storage, they tend to stay and pay, which we love them for it. So I would just big picture explain that's what we do. Okay. It's like Monopoly, except instead of greenhouses and red hotels, it's long, rectangular, caterpillar, concrete looking buildings with a bunch of metal garage doors. And each one of those people are going to pay us rent in order to provide them with just some space to hold their stuff. No tenants, no toilets, no plumbing, no kitchens. We don't have to deal with painting the inside of the units, nothing crazy like that. All right. So the next thing I would tell her is, in order to build these relationships, which is the backbone of the business, you got to be willing to have conversations with people, because conversions happen within the conversations. Another way I like to say it is, conversations lead to conversions, conversions lead to contracts, and then contracts lead to cash and cash flow. So it's something within our Storage Wins community that we talk about when we say meaningful conversations. And not just with these storage owners, but I'm talking about with storage brokers, bankers, private lenders, storage wholesalers, your friends and family, your network, social media. When people think about self-storage, they need to think about you. I just had somebody today on Messenger send me an opportunity because they know I talk about storage. They see me as the storage guy. They know I have a podcast, and I'm out there talking about self-storage. And so there's only but so many people that the average person is going to know is into looking and buying at self-storage facilities. In fact, whenever I was in jiu-jitsu earlier this week, and before I started like what we call sparring, rolling with another dude, he's like, "Hey, don't let me forget, I want to talk to you about self-storage." We slapped hands, bumped. And by the way, that's not the first time that's happened, right? We bumped fist, for context. We slapped hands, bumped fists, and we start sparring, we start rolling. He's like, "I want to talk to you about storage," right? Meaningful conversations, just building relationship with people. And so that's the first thing. Let me take a step back. Prior to that, every business needs a list of prospects and opportunities. Okay. And so I would say you got to go to Google Maps, pull up a particular market where you're interested in buying self-storage. And in this video, I'm not going to talk about the demographics we look at and all that good stuff. I have plenty of videos and podcasts and training where I talk about all that. But we need a list of prospects so that we can call them, we can send them a direct mail campaign, we can reach out to them, we can jump on Crexy or LoopNet. So the L, list, is the first thing. The M is meaningful conversations. And then you got to get comfortable. It's like analyzing deals and understanding the underwriting process. It's a function of practice and getting your eyes looking at deals. I just got off of a Zoom with one of our Storage Wins coaching clients who is under contract to buy a storage facility. It's about 11,000 square feet. And he just got back from doing his on-site due diligence. In fact, it's 2 storage winners that are partnered on the deal. And that, by the way, that happened because of relationship. And that relationship was built and forged on the back of meaningful conversations. So I'll just leave that where it is if I didn't sell you on the importance of that a couple of minutes ago. But we were just looking at the numbers, and we were looking at the spreadsheet and the underwriting, and we were digging in, okay? So this is like riding a bike. This is like hopping in the pool or the ocean for the first time. You're kind of going to feel like you're drowning a little bit, and you need a little bit of help and guidance, and that's what we're here for. But you got to get used to doing it every single day. And if you could pick 1 or 2 deals and you dive into the numbers for an entire month, you're going to feel so much more confident at the end of that month, okay? So that's the A, LMA. And then we got the O, LMAO, is offers. You got to send offers, okay? And if you take nothing else from this video, hopefully the meaningful conversations is going to be the first one in the relationship building. The second thing is send offers. There's so many conversations I have with people. So I actually do what I preach, but I was literally, let me look up my phone for a second. I'm not going to give you the name of the person, but I was just having a conversation with a gentleman that said that I said, hey, I asked him, I said, how are things going in your storage business? And he was sharing with me that he's stuck. And I said, okay, well, what are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles and the barriers? And so he starts talking to me about it. And I said, hey, how many offers have you made in the last, let's just say 30 days? You know what he told me? 0. Big goose egg. I said, okay, how many offers have you made in the last 90 days, 3 months? Goose egg, 0. I said, dude, so I sent him an audio message. I'm like, my man, you got to send offers. And he's like, oh, but all these facilities I'm looking at are overpriced. I said, what does that have to do with you sending an offer? And I could tell like there was a gap of silence. And granted, this is via Messenger. And so based on his response, I can tell that it landed. And I've had numerous conversations with storage brokers that have told me, Alex, we want you and your Storage Wins members to just send offers, even if it's significantly less than their ask price. Just explain it. And so I think a lot of it is how, like the pre-frame, how you lay the landing zone, how you can communicate with the broker or the seller of how you got to your number, right? I think that's so important. But too many people are just looking at the asking price and then not making an offer because it's overpriced. Whenever you look at a deal and it doesn't make sense, the next thing you need to ask yourself is, what would make sense? And that could be a lower price. That could be the terms, right? In terms of how it's structured. And so if you're not making 1 or 2 or 3 offers a week, I don't know, you're just not putting yourself in a great position. That's one of the things we really discuss and talk about and go deep inside of our Storage Wins community, is that you need to be making offers on a daily basis, right? Long are the days during COVID where you could look at 10, 15 deals and one of them was going to work out, or 20 deals. We got to look at more opportunities now. It is what it is. Sometimes people tell me, and I ask, hey, why are you stuck? What are the roadblocks? And they say, oh, it's the market, or it's the interest rates, or the deals are overpriced, or there's a lack of inventory. And I call BS on all of it. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. Interest rates are going to be where interest rates are. Now, am I saying that that doesn't have an impact on the storage market? Of course it does. I'm not sitting here saying it doesn't impact the market. And what I'm telling you is that you need to adjust. All right. And that could be, you need to send more offers. You need to look at more deals. You need to analyze more opportunities. You need to have more conversations. And so you just have to shift your approach. But I don't care what the market does. There's always going to be deals and opportunities out there. You have to really do thought audit and ask yourself, is what I believe serving me, helping me? Is it lifting me up, or is it holding me back? Because the man that believes he can is just as right as the man who believes he can't. And if you're a lady watching this, I would replace man with woman. Okay? Or what you believe is your reality. So if you believe there's no deals out there, if you believe nobody's going to fund this, or there's a lack of money out there, guess what? You're right. Like, let me know how it goes watching the game from the sidelines, but that's not what I want for you. That's the reason I create content, is to lift people up and get them in the game, and to give you that confidence and let you know, if somebody hasn't told you, you can absolutely do this. This isn't complicated. Is it going to take time, energy, and effort? Absolutely. Is this an easy button you buy at Walmart and press and that's it? Like, you're in storage? No. Is this a get-rich-quick scheme? Absolutely not. Okay, this is going to require time, energy, and effort. And I can tell you it's worth it. Okay? So I just want you to think about that simple 4-step framework, LMAO. You need a list. You got to have meaningful conversations. You got to analyze deals daily, and you got to make offers weekly. Okay? That is the type of activity that gets you out of deal fog, gaining confidence when it comes to the funding and the financing side of the business, gets you out of the thinking of being frozen because you have the fear of making a mistake. And if you really want to avoid any and all of those obstacles, I want to encourage you that you need to look into joining a community of like-minded people, that this is what they eat, breathe, live, and talk about. And that's exactly what we do inside of Storage Wins. And it's not for everybody. In fact, I would say it's probably not for the majority of people. This community was designed and built for people that are 100% committed about buying their very first self-storage facility. It's not for tire kickers or people that are just like thinking about storage. Or if that's the case, just continue to watch my videos and plug into the podcast and stay in consumption mode. And I encourage you to then learn and then implement and do. But it's a lot easier and far less brain damage when you do it with people that have been there, done that, and that can grab you by the hand, that can show you a better path, and that can just watch over your shoulder as you're doing this. So with that being said, if you want to have a conversation, I encourage you to book a discovery call. Head over to storagewins.com. And if that's not for you, that's cool. Continue to plug in. But understand that in order to break from the things that are holding you back, and if you really, really want to buy your first facility this year, you got to connect with people. You got to analyze deals and get comfortable with that process. You have to have those meaningful conversations, and you got to make offers. Okay. So hopefully there's one or two things that landed with you. And that's my hope. Again, that is why I'm here sharing this information, because this is what has worked for me. This is what has worked for several people inside of our community, friends that have built a very, very healthy storage portfolio. It's on the back of these principles. Okay. So I encourage you to go out there and make it happen. You can absolutely do this. This is not a complicated business. Again, is it going to take some time, energy, and effort? Yes. And you can do it. Like, we are meant to roll up our sleeves and create and get things done. And it's a fantastic asset class and business to be able to accomplish everything you want. Okay. Make more money, generate cash flow, build long-term wealth, maybe even build a legacy business for your family, something that your kids can get involved in. Something that doesn't require you to have a big team overhead, where you can leverage technology and automate a lot of things. something that is proven to be recession resistant, low headache factor, especially if you're buying in the right market. So that's my encouragement for you. I hope it serves you, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next one. Take care.